Final Sabres game day before the Olympic break, and it is such a great time to be a Sabres fan. It's such a great time to be a fan of the Crossing Swords podcast because this is our second live show of the season, and we are joined by such a great cast. I am Gatesy, joined to my right, your left, by AJ. AJ, how are you doing today, sir? First Crossing Swords stream in person for you.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to the final game before the All-Star break and seeing how, or the Olympic break, and seeing how this team kind of shakes out this ending and how they, roll into the back half of the year.
We got AJ, and as always, the face that runs the place, Dreamboat Don, keeping us going. How are we doing today, sir?
Doing great. I mean, I'm just hyped. AJ's here again. Not just his first Crossing Swords live on location, his first live on location in any of Trainwreck Sports. You've seen him on Paying the Bills. You've seen him on Crossing Swords. You've seen him in the StreamYard at his home in his humble abode. But he's with us out here in the field getting gritty. I'm just pumped to have him here and talk some Sabres.
And speaking of gritty, we got Rachel on the ones and twos behind the camera, making sure we look good, sound good, and the ship is going in the right direction. Now, gentlemen, it's been a great time to be a Sabres fan of late. This season has been an absolute roller coaster. So let's recap the recent run of games and overall vibes. And this segment is sponsored by William Mattar Law Offices. Gentlemen, this past week as a whole, it's been kind of crazy where you saw the Sabres have a home game in Montreal, blow a third period lead, and then they had a big back-to-back road trip in Florida. The talk was, the Sabres, they could easily lose those two games and go into the Olympic break with the possibility of a 4-game losing streak. They changed those narratives early. They get 3 out of 4 points in Florida. How are you feeling right now about this team, AJ, now that there's 26 games left in the season?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel like I keep expecting a little bit of a lull at some point, right? Like you're feeling as a fan that this team's going to have a lull where they lose a couple of games. But I feel like they've really, when they've fallen, they've really picked it up and answered the bell. So I think for this team right now, getting 3 of 4 on the road against a Florida team that, yeah, they're a little bit down this year, but they're a team that, they have experience. They have a lot of veteran players on that roster. And then with Tampa, I mean, they're on fire. So I would have liked to see them, close that game out in regulation. It gets to overtime. They don't close it out. But, to get a point against Tampa, very nice to see. And, I think that's a good sign that I'm feeling good as a fan for the first time in February. For a long time, it's been a long time I felt this way. So I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I think the fan reaction after that trip says it all. Expectations are high, right? I mean, most people would say, hey, we got a point out of Tampa. That's great. We're coming home with 3 out of 4. People said, no, I want that other point. We gave up a late goal, 25 seconds, and I get it. That's a testament to how hard this team has worked. What they've built for themselves up to be is that they got high expectations now. I'm glad for the 3. I thought Vasilevsky, like I've said before, didn't play great, let in some squeakers, especially that second Samuelson goal that he kind of just pitched low at the net from the top of the circles. That's what it's going to take down the stretch. We've seen so many teams, make the playoffs on those loser points. And on the flip side, on Florida, took care of business, killing off a late 5-on-3. Sabres teams of past, you're going to get 2 goals. It's a tie game. You lose in overtime. But we don't allow 1 goal. We get the empty net, and it's game over. See you next time. And 2, we played Florida earlier this season where they didn't have Tkachuk. They were a little bit banged up. They had Tkachuk. They didn't have Marchand, but they were more back to their normal selves in terms of their lineup. And we commanded the game. Tkachuk himself said they're way more individually skilled than us, and if we don't play our game perfectly, the Sabres are going to take advantage. So I'm proud that the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion says the Sabres are more skilled than them. I'm going to take that.
You're going to take that every time, and the thing with that Florida trip, too, is I think if we talked beforehand that the Sabres would have gotten 3 out of 4 points, we all would have taken that in a heartbeat. But I think the point of, disappointment a little bit just comes from having the Tampa Bay Lightning on the ropes toward the end of the game, having that lead with 30 seconds to go and, giving up that goal getting to overtime. And then, the way the overtime goal went into, it's like, it wasn't like they got, outskilled by a better team. They just, had some mistakes that you want them to see clean up down the line. While we have, 26 games, including tonight left, that's something it's like, okay, that's a mistake, but the Sabres team can hopefully learn from it. We've seen, them grow a lot throughout the course of the season. A bump in the road, it feels like is a good thing for them, whether that be them coming from behind in games, whether that be, losing a game they probably shouldn't. They've shown time and time again they're able to, get those wins, but able to, kind of ease the concerns of fans, because it feels like anytime something can go wrong, gentlemen, there's a little thought that creeps up in the back of our head like, oh, this Sabres team has just been a mirage of what we thought. They're actually just the same old Sabres, but we haven't seen that at all, AJ.
Yeah, it's definitely a team that, again, continues to outweigh my expectations. I think they have kind of figured it out, especially in between the pipes. I think they're a team that Alex Lyon, Colton Ellis has stepped up as of late, but I think in totality they're just clicking at every level. I think they're the defensive pairs, Owen Power, Byram, Dahlin, those three are really carrying the weight back there. Obviously Samuelson is having hit a career year in his eyes, so he's just been phenomenal. And then offensively, losing Benson hurts a little bit his playmaking ability, but Tage Thompson's scoring goals at a 45 goal pace, so he's still playing like the Olympian he is, and they just have a complete roster. Ryan McLeod's had I think over like 15 points in the last 15 games, so he's been playing good hockey. Just overall, they're a complete team, and the funny thing is I've never said this, but like Kevin Adams was a major part in that. So it's weird how that dynamic has kind of worked, where you trade for a Josh Doan, and he's probably in my eyes the best back checker on this roster, up there with Alex Tuck in terms of forward. So he's just really filled out this roster, and then Yarmo's taken it to that other level, I guess, and they're getting that message from Lindy Ruff where it's worked. So it's a very weird dynamic how it's kind of all worked out, but again, they're in a great spot, like you said, in the last, you said 26 games.
26 games left, including tonight.
I mean, I'm feeling good that this team can hopefully break that drought that we've been waiting for a long time. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Gatesy. As I think we're all a little traumatized, where we're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, but I think you also said it best. This team is clicking, and the best testament about it is, I've talked about this, if we have an injury, guy gets called up, instantly they're making an impact. You've had Rosen up and down between the Amerks and the Sabres all year. You've had Malenstein and Ostlund make a home for themselves when they weren't full-time guys on the roster earlier this year. You have Kozak coming up and down. You have Helenus coming up and down. I mean, it seems like any young guy they put in, they can get something out of him. They're not just playing 5 minutes on the fourth line to fill a spot. They're getting quality ice time, and we've seen some production from these young guys. So, I mean, that's a true testament that a team is clicking. Bill's always talk about culture. I mean, this team has something going on in the locker room, clearly. If guys that haven't been playing with them all year long come up first, second game, putting points on the board. So,
and if you look at the Sabres that are out too, you're missing big names. You have Josh Norris out. You have Zach Benson out recently. You're missing Yuri Kulik, Connor Timmins, Justin Danforth is missing games. UPL is out as well. And the Sabres really aren't missing a beat, which is the wildest part, because you've seen Sabres teams in the past, and even this season when injuries happen, they completely kind of fall off the map. But right now, Donnie, like you said, those young guys are stepping up. That is the biggest thing. And the young guys, too. You look at a guy like Isak Rosean, who everything up until he got called up during the season has been really an absolute train wreck on the Buffalo Sabres side of things. Whether that be his fourth prospect challenge he played this year where he had 0 points, whether that be, anytime he did get called to the Sabres, he was pointless. We're seeing a different side of his game, a different side of Noah Ossa, Konsta Helenas, who get called up, and they fit in this lineup seamlessly. That really shows to what, Jarmo Kekalainen is doing. And, one thing Jarmo Kekalainen isn't doing is making moves. The deadline has happened before the Olympic break for the Sabres to make any moves in terms of the roster, adding trades. We saw Temi Panarin be moved to LA just yesterday. Where are you at right now with the Buffalo Sabres, AJ, where it feels like they're comfortable where their team is at? They don't want to make a big move, and it feels like for the first time in forever, they're not sellers at this time in the season.
Yeah, real quick, because he was talking about like we're all clicking, or the Sabres are clicking.
Yeah.
I think what you're seeing, like I was at the 05-06 game, and you saw Bowen Byram, his excitement on the ice after that game. They beat Montreal, I think it was, in that game. Just the excitement that he had to be out there. I think they're starting to have that belief in each other. Yes. He mentioned culture. I think you're starting to see it. Alex Tuck talks about, we're not just here to win a series in the playoffs. We're here to win a Stanley Cup.
Great quote.
I think that's just something, the belief and the confidence is actually happening. It's not just talk now. It's not just coach speak, player speak. I think it's actually coming into fruition, and I think that's huge. In terms of Jarmo and the trades, like we're talking about they're clicking a lot. Like they're a team that's clicking. So I don't really know if I want to see something that big at this point. I think I believe in the guys on the roster now. Would I be happy if they added a top 6, forward and to bolster the scoring, because a guy like Josh Norris, you don't know if you can trust him to stay healthy down the stretch. Yeah, sure, I'm fine with that. Defensively, goaltending wise, would maybe move one of the 3 goalies that you have on the roster, Lyon, UPL, Ellis? Is that an option where you can kind of maybe solidify the defense, the depth there, or again forward depth? So there's some things they could do, but with the way they're playing, I don't see any reason the last 2 months to really think differently as to why I would change things up. I think you ride it out and you believe in what you built, and the guys, like Donnie said, they're coming together and the culture's coming together. So I think I wouldn't want to do something that would kind of break that up. But if you want to make a move to get better, you do it.
Yeah, I about a month ago I was open to shopping Tuck just based on paper, based on his contract ending and everything that. And Gatesy, we talked about it. I had Panarin on my radar. Obviously, that's gone, but I mean that is since disappeared. I wasn't for it. Like I said, it was open, but now I'm in the same boat. I mean, you hear them talking cup, clear and belief in the locker room, and they believe they can win every game. I'm not trying to take that guy out of the locker room now. And I don't know who else you shop. Are you going to shop your young guys and package them for someone? I don't know if you want to do that, because you win a playoff series, get to the second round, and then you have them for next year with some playoff experience to make a deeper run. I don't know if you want to go all in on a bigger, more experienced veteran name and try to win now, when it seems like the team might not just be back on a fluke, but years of contention ahead of us. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but with we're the second or third youngest team in the league, and we're making quite some noise. So let us know in the comments if you got an idea on who to shop. Let me know, because I got no one.
I don't think you can. And how the culture's been for the Sabres too is we're finally seeing them clicking in a way we haven't ever before. I do want to look at some comments real quick. LM Pulse 5590. What are your thoughts on if the Sabres win tonight? We'd be in the second wild card, or the second spot in the Atlantic, due to how tight this division is. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about tonight's game, gentlemen, is the Sabres are in the first wild card spot right now, but if they get a win tonight, they move into the second spot in the Atlantic. So they would end up go from playing Tampa Bay to hosting a playoff round in round 1 if the season ended right now with a win here. They would have the tiebreaker because of all the regulation wins they have this season. They actually have the second most in the East, which is crazy to think about. So that's why this game is so important. This is why every game down the stretch is so important, especially in the East, where somehow, some way, every single team is winning every single night. They're getting overtime. There's a ton of points. It's been a wild event here. And the Sabres team as a whole has just been a wild kind of stretch for them. And the season moves along. They're 32-18-6 on the season. None of us could have expected the record they have now. Even, you look at the analytics people before the season started, they were projecting the Sabres to be, in the low 90s, and those were kind of the advantageous of the group. The Sabres right now have a chance to go 500 the rest of the season and get to near 100 points, which is crazy to think about. This Sabres team has been incredible. They've been great. But it's not all been sunshine and rainbows. We have great things. We have bad things. So it's time for Who's Hot and Who's Not, sponsored by Salino Plumbing, HVAC, and Electric. So, gentlemen, I will start us off here on our Who's Hot and Who's Not. Right now, my hot is yearning. I'm going to be yearning for the Buffalo Sabres during this Olympic break. There will be 19 days between today and when they're back on the ice on the 25th. And I never thought I would say that about the Buffalo Sabres at this point in the season, that I would be missing games where every other time, basically in my life, at this point in the season, it's hard not to be checked out. It's hard not to, hate watch these games. It's hard not to at least think, oh, they're not the best team out there. Oh, they're going to be hoping and praying just to get to a playoff spot, to a wild card spot if they're absolutely lucky and win out. Right now, the ball's in their court the rest of the season for the first time in forever. They're playing in a way that's awesome. That is awesome for me. It's awesome for fans. It's awesome just for the city of Buffalo as a whole, because it feels like the city is back in on the Buffalo Sabres again, and it's a great thing. My not is math. I do not understand right now the NHL, point system with how it is. It's crazy to think about where some NHL games give out 3 points for games where you go to overtime. The winning team gets 2, the losing team gets 1. And if you win in regulation, there's only 2 points given out. I think it's time for the NHL to adopt a 3-2-1 point system for games where if you win in regulation, you get 3 points. If you win in overtime, you get 2. If you lose in overtime, you get 1. If you lose in regulation, you get nothing. Just because the Buffalo Sabres have the second most wins right now in the whole Eastern Conference, and they're in a wild card spot. The Buffalo Sabres, you look throughout the course of, just the entire league, have a ton of regulation wins, and they're being punished for that, where they're taking care of games. You see games at times, both teams just trying to get to overtime to get to that loser point. That's where I'm at right now with the league. I'm hoping sometime we can see that change, just because it doesn't seem fair at all. But AJ, tell me who's hot and who's not for you right now.
Yeah, and there's teams like Vegas too,
oh my gosh,
that have a lot of OT losses. But
yes,
my hot right now, who's hot? The goaltending. I have to go with the goalies in between the pipes every night. I've talked about it already. I think they've really kept them in games, especially on this road trip. Colton Ellis has been magnificent. Went in a little bit jittery at times. He's a little bit all over the place.
He's a gamer, though.
He is a gamer. And then, Alex Lyon's just been sound and just like kind of an assassin out there in between the pipes, and just very calm, very good rebound control, just everything you want really in a goalie. And he's just been, a goalie that I've really wanted as a fan for a long, long time. I have confidence every time he steps in between those pipes, and I haven't had that feeling in a while. Jonas Enroth was like such a, you never knew what to expect, but I mean, that was fun, right?
Yeah.
You knew those teams really weren't made to be, where they were supposed to go. So I do like that. My not, Peyton Krebs, and I know he's played a couple of good weeks of hockey, and I think even the last 2 games he's possessed the puck well. I think he still has to work on his ability as a finisher in the slot. I think he struggles sometimes to put the puck in the net, but he has had some nice plays, some timely passes. He obviously finished a nice one from Dahlin, but the play in overtime when Dahlin was kind of forechecking there, keeping the puck in, you just have to get back or get off the ice. You can't allow that to happen. That was about 30 seconds away from a shootout, and I just think
even less.
Yeah, maybe less. So that's something where, again, I like Krebs. I think he works hard. I think he's a good fourth liner. But just when I was starting to buy in on him a little bit, he has that moment in overtime, and they lose against Tampa in that moment. So I want to see more from him, consistent hockey, and I think if he can elevate his game, we talk about the young guys. He's one of those young guys where I don't feel like he's at that tier of like where I feel like I've seen a Jack Quinn kind of maybe not get to a level of where we thought he'd be, but he's improving. He's moving his feet better. He's skating better. I want Krebs to get there.
He's a guy too with a contract up this offseason where he had that 3-point night in Florida against the Panthers. That Tampa Bay game, he's playing okay. He's on that top line with Tage and Doan, and all of a sudden you have a couple mistakes late, and that just sours basically the entire great stretch we've seen from him.
Right.
But Don, where are you at right now? Who's hot for you and who is not?
Well, real quick, I want to talk about the point thing you brought up, because I've been harping on that forever. I think it's really not mathematical. It doesn't make any sense. Have the NHL have this number of points available across the whole league. And if you're playing 82 games times 3, you have that many maximum you can get. It really makes sense. People call them loser points. I call them ghost points. Because like you said, one game turns from it's worth 2 points, now it's 3. You get 1. It doesn't make any sense. We need to talk about that, NHL. But who's hot for me? Lindy Ruff and his timeout specifically. We saw in Florida, media timeout, down 2-0, gets the whole group huddled around there, and they looked like shit, let's be honest, up until that point. They turn it around instantly after that, and we've seen this like 3 or 4 times throughout the season where he calls a timely timeout. In the timely timeout, but in the third period, maybe when we're up 3 and we give up 2 quick, he says we got to call a timeout, turn it around. I've seen when he calls a timeout, I've never had any of the feeling of like, I wonder what they're saying. I'm like, no, we're about to see a different team out of this timeout, and he's now that's the reason he's your Adams Trophy favorite right now. He's taken over the lead in that. I think he deserves it. My who's not right now is high expectations, and what I mean by that is the high expectations got some Sabres fans in that Tampa game. Like I said, I don't want to be thankful, but this is the NHL. Things are different. We see the box score doesn't always tell the story, especially when you factor in goaltending. A guy can steal a game when they should have lost. I don't think the Sabres even really should have made it to overtime. Again, I thought Ellis stood on his head and Vasilevsky really just didn't show up on a couple goals. So. And again, we were this close to making it out of the game alive with an extra point, this close to making it to a shootout. So I understand the frustration, but let's enjoy the ride, like you said, while still, having reasonable expectations for our boys. So that's been Who's Hot, Who's Not by Celino, and we're going to debut this right here. We got our red truck beer handle. Keep an eye out for this. And hold on, what's this? I'm getting word from my producer that this thing actually works. Hold on. Oh, let me pull it real quick. Oh my God. It's a magic handle.
Whoa, look at that.
I just got a free beer out of nowhere. So make sure you're keeping an eye out on your taps for the Celino Red Truck beer tap handle. It's magic. I think once you buy a beer, it just never ends. It keeps refilling on its own. So shout out Celino.
It's magic, and just like Celino itself, magic. And gentlemen, we talked a little bit earlier. There's 26 games left in the season. After this break, after this 19 days of no Sabres hockey, there'll be 25 games left. AJ, I want to hear from you first. This 25-game stretch. Obviously, the Sabres go 500 the rest of the way, which would feel like basically a losing effort with how well they've been playing. They would finish near 100 points. What do you want to see from this Buffalo Sabres team in this back half after the Olympics, after, hopefully Tager, Dahlin comes home with a gold medal?
Yeah, I want a Party in the Plaza playoff game.
Please.
I want them to get over the hump. And we're already seeing, I was at a men's league basketball thing the other day, and we're talking Sabres at a men's league, like in February, right? Like, that's just so odd.
Unheard of at this point.
For me. So, yeah, I just want to see them get over that hump. I want them to continue to play consistent. I think I needed to see a little bit more offensive shot, more shots on net, more shot attempts, just a little bit more possession time. They do get the zone time, but I feel like they need to just shore that up a little bit. The last few games have been a little bit of a struggle there on that side. So I want to see them offensively take another step. I think the goaltending's really done well. I think the defense has done a phenomenal job, and the defense has done phenomenal scoring the puck as well. So yeah, just get over that hump and get over this 14-year, 15-year thing. I don't want to be talking about it anymore.
No more.
This is the year to do it. I feel like a few years back they had that. They got hot at one point.
Yeah,
I think they won 10 in a row at
one point out.
Yeah, and it felt like. But this really feels like it's all in their control.
Yes.
Where that year they kind of had some things that needed to happen, and they fell off to such a cold start, and they were hot and cold, very hot, very cold. This is the year where they need to solidify it and do it, so we can talk about playoff hockey in Buffalo for the first time since I was 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah. Don, what do you need to see from this team going down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, going off AJ, I think the difference is this team is way more well-rounded, and how we become more well-rounded is goaltending. And what I need post-Olympics is UPL back healthy. Listen, I'm going to be a little selfish right now. Mm-hmm. If he's getting hurt, I'd rather have it happen before the Olympics than during the Olympics. Give him, I know he wants to play, represent his country. Obviously, that'd be wonderful. But if we're talking about the Sabres, this gives him 2 weeks extra time of not rest. He's going to be out on the ice. He's going to get the itch. He's going to be trying to come back from this. So it really makes us not have to rush him. And, Lyon Ellis, they've done a great job holding down the fort. I think he's proven he is our number one guy, and he can handle the workload. And Lyon can come in and help out the team when we need. But when I think we get to the playoffs, I think it's all number one UPL. So what I want is UPL get healthy. You got some extra time for it. That is a blessing, and I think that'll help us break this 14-year drought, get us in the playoffs.
Yeah, the biggest thing I want to see, gentlemen, is just the Sabres continue playing how they are. There's a part of me that gets scared at every single kind of turning point in the season where one thing can happen to the other. If the Sabres, could fall apart, crumble away. Right now, those thoughts are kind of there of they have 3 weeks off of the Olympic break. A part of me is like, what are they going to look like when they come back? It's kind of, it makes sense to have those concerns, but it's to the point where they're playing so well right now. They have the momentum. They have the feel of every game. No matter where they're at, they can come back. They can come back and win. We saw that just 2 games ago against the Panthers where they were down 2-0 early and flipped the switch. They got that rough timeout like Donnie talked about. That's what I want to see. I want to see them continue to have that fight. And what's going to help with that is they're going to get, a lot of guys back healthy after this break where We'll hopefully see, Zach Benson return. We'll see Josh Norris back in the lineup. Guys like Connor Timmins, who we haven't seen in a while, should be back. UPL, Justin Danforth. There's a lot of names coming back here. We might even see Yuri Kulik at some point this season. This Sabres team has been really banged up, and we've seen, the young kids step up. They haven't had that same pop and flair that we saw, just a few weeks ago, but it'll be interesting to see what Jarmo Kekalainen does with the Sabres team, especially when you have some guys coming back. So with those thoughts of what the Sabres team will look like in just a month from now, let's get into the Power of Four, sponsored by William Attar Law Offices. So with the Power of Four, gentlemen, I'm going to give you 4 Sabres names of guys who are going to come back after this Olympic break. I want you to tell me which of these players you think is going to either have the biggest impact for the blue and gold, or just someone you're interested to see how they're going to fit back into this lineup. So the 4 names I have for you, I have Josh Norris, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Zach Benson, and Connor Timmins. Don, I'll kick it to you first. Who out of these 4 names are you most interested in and really want to see back in the Sabres lineup?
Well, I just talked about UPL, so I'll let you guys take that over so I'm not a broken record.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Zach Benson. I mean, that quote from Tage where he's the dumbest human being I've ever met on the planet. This guy's pure trash, but I love his game. I mean, that interview is incredible. It shows, that's what happens in a hockey locker room. You're just ripping on each other. And I think really he has led into this new era of Sabres where they have this grit we've been looking for years. I've said it before. I feel like they have a perfect mix where they're as skilled as 05, 06, but have some of that late 90s grit with Samuelson, with Benson. I mean, he's a guy that will take on anyone his size. He's just a versatile player. We've had him on the first line. We've dropped him down to the third. He's thrived wherever you put him. We've even seen him on the power play. We've seen him on the kill. Yeah. He does it all, and he plays with heart. He plays with the intensity you need in the playoffs. So I'm really looking for Benson to come back. And we've seen, too, his first couple games with us, I think he got injured, instantly had the fishbowl on with the black eyes and was playing through that. That's a guy you need in the playoffs.
Yeah. AJ, who you got in this Power of Four here?
Yeah, I would have probably went Zach Benson as well for all the reasons that Donnie said. I think he's, a gritty guy, playmaker. I didn't really buy into Benson before the season. I thought he was still a couple years away, and he's, wowed me. But for the sake of this, I'll say Josh Norris, excuse me. I think he's a guy that, when healthy, right, he's been putting up a point per game.
Yes.
He's been, around the second line all year playing with those guys. So he's a goal scorer. I just don't know if I can trust him. A healthy Josh Norris will help the Sabres the most 100%. After the break. The problem is I just don't envision that because he's just been so, injury prone and he can't get away from it. So that's my biggest concern with him. But if a healthy Josh Norris would take this team, I think, to even another level, and they've still been fine in his absence.
And he just brings such a different dynamic to the Sabres team with his speed and really his ability to win faceoffs. We saw the Sabres lose 70% of the draws against Montreal. Having him back in is going to help a lot. It's going to make the center, depth a lot stronger. And when he's healthy, there's really no better player for that Sabres team. Obviously Don talked about UPL as a big part of coming back for the Sabres, even though Colton Ellis has stepped up in ways that I didn't even think were possible with how he's been. And, the sporadic starts he's getting, coming in relief when UPL went out. Like, he is a true just plug-and-play guy in net where it's really hard to find. I'm going to go with Connor Timmins as mine, just from the perspective of, you look at the Sabres defense, how good they've been. We've talked about all the goals they're getting from Dahlin, Byram, and Samuelson. Owen Powers, getting on the score sheet again. We're seeing that there. Kessering's back in the lineup. They've had great, plug-in from Zach Metza, Jacob Bryson when he's in and healthy. This Sabres team, if they get Connor Timmins back in the lineup, is going to add such a big dimension. We've seen their penalty kill for the Sabres really falter off in the past, couple weeks especially, where they went from being in the first in the league. I think now they're down to 7th or 8th in the NHL in their PK. Adding Connor Timmins is going to be back because Connor Timmins hasn't played in 20 games for the Sabres, but he is still second on the team in shots blocked, which is insane to think about, where he's missing 20 games compared to everyone else, but he's still second in the team in block shots. They get him back. We're going to look at that Tampa Bay game where they blew the lead. He might be able to get a block shot there with 25 seconds to go in the third period. throughout the course of the game, on the PK especially. He's going to make the Sabres defense so much deeper, where you look at that top or that sixth defense for the Sabres of Darlene Samuelson, Power Byram, and then Kesselring Timmins. That is such a lethal six. This Sabres team is going to not only, be competent in their own end and be much better, but be shut down ability, have that there. They're not going to have to rely on their top guys like Rasmus Dahlin, Bowen Better, Matthias Samuelson to have to, lock down games, to have to kill big penalties, put up a lot more minutes they might need to. Timmins is going to make this team a lot deeper and a lot better, and it's just a great time for here. So, gentlemen, we are, 56 games into the season. There's a couple names I want to do. I want us to grade some players because we're over the halfway mark. We're really kind of on the final stretch of this season. So, a guy I want to have you grade first, it might be a bit of an easy one, but Matthias Samuelson. He's played 54 games for the Sabres this season. He has 11 goals, 23 assists for 34 points. He is a plus 29, which is otherworldly when you think of Sabres defensemen in the year past where they're in the minus 30s at this point. He's a plus 29. He is truly a great presence, and he leads the team in block shots with 112. So, AJ, I'll kick it off to you. What do you grade Matthias Samuelson so far this season?
A plus.
Yeah.
Is that a grade? I think he's
now.
Yeah, it is now. I think he's a player that, the last few years, every year it's the injuries. He's not meeting that contract. He's not meeting those expectations. He just couldn't stay on the ice, and he's been in such a role lately. Mm-hmm. Every time he shoots the puck, like the guy's turned into. He went from a defensive defenseman to like this guy's a sniper. Like I feel like every time he shoots the puck, it's he's finding the back of the net. So I would give him an A plus. That's my new grade for him, and he's been just everything they've needed. You mentioned plus 29. That's just unheard of. And defensively, he's sound. He's really good against the wall. He's smart. Fundamentally, just a really good hockey player. And with him, stacking those healthy games and getting that confidence, his offensive ability, he's made. He scored so many big goals. He's just done everything they've needed from him. So that contract really outplaying it right now, and he's a player that I think many doubted. On this franchise the past few years.
Don, where are you at with this Samuelson?
Well, hold on. I mean, I have an empty beer. I want to see if this works with this tap. Luke told me it would work. Let's see. Oh, my God. It worked.
2 for 2.
Magic
wow.
beer. Thank you, Luke and Selena. Wow, amazing. I'm going to put this down for a second, though. Everything AJ said. I mean, great take, great analysis. I mean, listen, last year fans wanted this guy shipped out of town. I mean, the whole every Sabres fan had their pitchfork and torches. Like they were ready. Why this contract, like you said, terrible. This is one of the worst moves. This is what the Sabres do. They sign a guy. He comes here. He's bad all of a sudden. He leaves. He wins the cup. Right? That's been the whole trajectory. And so we've seen a guy. And like you said, the offensive play is, I think, the biggest part for me. He's a physical presence. He's blocking shots, but who knew he was going to bring out everything that he would this year with this offensive? He has this weird hot spot where he's scored 2 or 3 goals from that left corner, just right over the goalie's shoulder. So yeah, we'll get you a beer. All you need to get a beer is just get the Selena Red Truck tap. When you see that, ask for one. But yeah. Samuelson, I wish I could give him a beer because, A plus. I'm going to add another plus to his. I don't want to one-up you, but how many pluses can we add? Is there a limit on the pluses?
No more, because I'm adding one
Does
more
the
to your
limit
plus.
not
Don.
exist?
It does not exist for Samuelson. Yeah. And really, the limit doesn't even exist for points to get in the playoffs. I mean, if there's 100 points from the Sabres, that should get them in when you look at the wild card, and especially when you look at the Metro, too, where teams are kind of in that front of getting there, but they're really competing with the Metro itself. It feels very Atlantic heavy to get in the playoffs for those 2 wild card spots, but there's still so much hockey left in the season, and it's exciting where we're at this point right now. Chris, let's get this dub tonight. Go Sabres. It is a great time, and of course, we all love Michael Samuelson.
We do.
He is. You can't advocate for how well he's playing, and on the contract he's on, it went from quickly overnight being of like quote unquote the worst contract in hockey to easily the best, where they have him signed for that term for that long. It's a great thing. He is really the backbone of this team. He's always playing well in both ends. He has big hits. He can get points somehow. We never thought that was a possibility with Matthias Samuelson. It felt like the ceiling for him was just a good shutdown D-man who can kind of close things out from that point on. Next name for you, gentlemen. We're all in agreement on Matthias Samuelson, but Jack Quinn, he's played in 56 games for the Sabres this season. He has 12 goals, 24 assists for 36 points. He is a +2. He feels like he goes on roller coaster sometimes where he'll have a game where he has 3 points. He'll be the focus of it. That line with him, McLeod, and Benson were money for a while. And then we'll see games where it's hard to notice him at times. So AJ, with Jack Quinn, where he's at in his career, he's 24 years old. What's the grade you would give the former first-round pick?
So Mike Bunt, I'm sure many of you have listened to him on Crossing Swords Pay the Bills. He was a big Jack Quinn guy, and he talked him up every year for the past 2 years. And I've kind of been the opposite of that, especially last year after that Achilles injury. And he was kind of he couldn't get his feet going in his possession.
Yeah.
I said earlier, he's gotten to that next tier for me, like we're maybe with like a Benson, maybe a little less because he's a little older. But he's a young guy that's really stepped up. I would give him a B. I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like you said, the hot and cold. There's moments where he tries to force things, especially across the ice in front of the net, where he kind of throws the puck out there and doesn't really value possession in the offensive zone. But as a goal scorer, he's decent. Obviously, the coaching staff trusts him. He's on the power play one often. He's out there. I think Lindy Ruff and the coaching staff's very high on him. He must be doing something in practice that they like because I think they do trust him.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of stacking those positive days, getting the most out of a Jack Quinn because he's really important. If he can take that leap, like he's the X factor for me down the stretch. As a guy who I think can really score the puck. He loves to, again, he's a sniper. That was his MO in Rochester. That's where that's why we believed in him as a player. So his speed getting better. He's skating better. It's just a matter of now consistency.
Yeah. Don, where are you at with Jack Quinn?
I'm going to grade him a little lower. I'm going to give him a C. He is passing, but again, there's a few concerns. One of which, like you said, the roller coasterness, the streakiness of it all. Part of this, I think, is due is when I look at that roller coasterness, he seems like a guy that relies a little bit on his line mates more than some other guys. He really, he's a great player, but it's not. There's some guys on this team like Doan, like Krebs, like you can and Oslin, you can shuffle around and they're gonna find a spot and make their teammates around them better. I feel like he thrives with certain people, but he's not a guy that is gonna make everyone around him better. And the biggest concern with me is I just see the games with him where he has some major mental mistakes. Again, skilled player, can snipe, fast on his feet, but I see him just not making the right play, almost being a little too slow in his decision-making, hanging on to it too long, double guessing himself. Maybe that's a confidence thing, and maybe that's the streakiness thing. A couple fall in the net, and he's making quicker decisions. He's high on himself. He has a cold stretch, and he's low on himself. I don't know. That's something he would know better than anyone else. But when I watch his game, again, though, he's not a guy where I'm trying to chase out of town or ship at the deadline. I think he's very useful for us. But I'd like to see some more out of him, and I'd like to see him bump that C up to a B or an A- by the end of the season.
Definitely, and it's such a weird thing, too, with Jack Quinn because we'll see him. AJ brought up his Achilles injury, which was a great point. He looks a lot faster this year, especially with the puck. We saw him in years past on the kids line where they were strictly just a run and gun team of, he could only get points and could only score on the rush. Right now we're seeing him find a lot of success with some sustained zone time, finding some soft spots in the defense for a quick shot and finding the back of the net. That's been a big development in his game. And even Steve, too, talked about him on the wall. That's an area he has to prove it. Like, we know Jack Quinn's not a shutdown defender. We look back to last game, too, where it was the Samuelson second goal. That goal only happens because Jack Quinn gets the breakout in the Sabres D in the corner where he chips it out to Ryan McLeod, who finds Samuelson in the middle for that Sabres lead. It's a true weird point with Jack Quinn because we'll see great moments, we'll see bad moments. I'm kind of with you, AJ, on that B, where I think there's enough times where he'll get a 2-3 point game to carry the Sabres to a win where I'm like, okay, I can live with that. And the games he's not at that level, we have other Sabres show up which can kind of carry this team. So it's an interesting point on that front. He's also 6th on the team in points, which is a crazy thing to think about. And for our final grade, one that we can all agree on, everyone in the Saberhood has the same opinion on, Owen Power. I want to hear what your thoughts are on the Sabres' former first overall pick because, he has 17 points in 55 games this season. It feels like he has just a fan club of people that absolutely hate him for every breath he takes, everything that happens. They say he's a terrible defender. I know plus-minus isn't the end-all, be-all, but he's a +2 on this team. He's, it feels like throughout the season too, gentlemen, he's finding his game a lot more. He's, just eclipsed or is near the 300 game mark, where it feels like NHL defensemen take to really find their stride and footing at this level. So, Don, I can start with you if you want. Owen Power, where are you grading him 55 games into the season for him?
I want to be tougher, but I will say I was tougher on him last year because I think last year he really had a bad year in the defensive zone. This year he's been a lot better. I think his main issue is he kind of reminds me, not in style, but in his issue of like a young Tyler Myers, where he just doesn't play as big as he is. He's a big guy, and that's, I think, where a lot of his defensive struggles is. He could be playing a lot bigger and a little more physical. Then now again, is he that type of defenseman? Maybe not, but this is the NHL. You might have to become that type of style. I'm going to give him a B-. I like his production, and I'm giving him B- partially because Lindy Ruff, who is a much smarter hockey mind than me, trusts him enough to put him on the power play as much as he does. So clearly, again, he sees something in practice. He's had some production here and there. He's had some good. I like how he'll get pucks to the net when need be. He's Owen Power this year. He's kind of got me in a blender. He really does. Yeah. Because I used to be one of those haters, like you said, but it hasn't been as bad. And maybe it's the Sabres vibes are a little higher. He's benefiting from that. But I'm giving. If you asked me last year, it would have been like a D- or an F.
Yes.
But I'm giving him a B-. I think he's improved a lot. I want to see him play a little bigger though.
Yeah, I like Owen Power a lot. Mm-hmm. I always have, and I didn't really get caught up with the physical part of his game just because I think I see that, and I'm not saying I see it like I'm better than other people that don't see it, but I feel like I can see his game becoming better over the course of his career just because you've seen it the last 2 weeks, his zone entries, his confidence with the puck. I think he's a shot away where if he can improve that shot in the slot on the one-timers, he snapped a stick the other night. If he can improve his shot like Erasmus Dahlin did, where you saw Dahlin come in. Now, he's not as physical as a Dahlin. Dahlin, I think, early in his career wasn't as physical. He would kind of get bodied, but as he's grown and matured, he's become that physical kind of player. And, he still lacks it a little bit, but I think he's much more physical on the puck. I don't think you're going to see that from an Owen Power. I think he's a finesse kind of player. Mm-hmm. I think I do agree with Donnie on this year. I think he is a B- for me. I expected more offensive production because of his style of play. He's finesse, more of an offensive defenseman, like my build on NHL 25 or 26, excuse me. But, he's a good player. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to continue to grow. And I mean, again, as a passer, I think, like you said, Gatesy, his confidence with the puck and zone entries the last couple of weeks has been very apparent to me. And I think as he grows and gets that shot, his ability to finish, that's his next step. And if he gets there, I think he becomes a really good player in this league.
100%. And I love Steve's comment here comparing him to Matthias Samuelsson, who Samuelsson is finally finding his game now, and he's got 2 years on Owen Power. I think if we've learned anything from this season, gentlemen, it's, maybe take a little bit longer to decide if we're going to rush someone out of town for not playing the level they are. He's been great. Zach and Sheldon, new viewer. Awesome to have him here. Truly a great experience having him here. I love having new
Didn't know dogs could work a keyboard.
He's got that dog inside him, but he says this sounds crazy. Owen Power kind of has Keon Coleman syndrome going on. Young guy who clearly performs well enough in practice to get opportunities, but hasn't been able to deliver and make fans very mad. Yeah.
Smart dog.
He shows up at least.
That guy is truly awesome. But Owen Power's in that world where it feels like he has a microscope on him at all times from just, a handful of Sabres fans where Owen Power could have 7,000 points and scored 200 goals in the Stanley Cup final, but he's going to make one mistake in the D zone, and that's all everyone's going to talk about. Yep. He's a young defenseman. He's going to make mistakes, but on overall, you could look at every single defenseman the Sabres have, from Rasmus Dahlin, Matthias Samuelsson, Bowen Byram, everyone. If you just watch them in the D zone, you're going to find things you don't like. I think Sabres fans, it's like that with UPL at times, with just making a save. I understand fans' concerns, but he's a good player. He's getting better, and just the improvements we've seen this season. We talked in the offseason how if the Sabres could just get Owen Power to the next level with Michael Kesselring, that trade was a success. We don't need to go into that trade at all. But right now, Owen Power is finding his success playing next to Bowen Byram. I know the Sabres are changing their their D lines throughout the course of the game. But that's the best part is we thought we'd have to anchor him to a Michael Kesselring to get him to that next level, to not have him worry about his D zone so much. We're seeing Owen Power on the PK. We're seeing him play well 5-on-5. This that confidence AJ talked about on zone entries, O zone. And just the past month alone, I feel like has really taken a step up. Dwayne says, I think a bit more patience is needed with Power. It took 4 or 5 years for Darlene to find his game. Hedman from Tampa as well. It takes time for defensemen to find their game. I mean, people were not happy with Rasmus Dahlin when he started with the Sabres. Look at him now. I have zero concern about where we're at with Owen Power and his development, and just the strides this year have been great. And that's grading segments. We're getting close to game time, gentlemen. But before we talk about the Sabres-Penguins game, I want to give a big thank you to Totally Buffalo for hooking us up, myself included, with these awesome Buffalo hockey sweatshirts. Make sure you're checking out their store for everything you want for Buffalo sports gear and more. Shop in person or online. Donnie, this crew neck I'm wearing, it's comfortable. I'm amped up. I'm ready to go, but I could take a little nap. I'm so comfortable in this right now.
It looks great. It looks great. Yeah, and you've seen us on Trainwreck today wear some of their stuff. I got a black and red shirt that's under here for tonight. So, yeah, can't wait to get in the Key Bank Center. We got Boots on the Bank tonight.
Boots on the bank. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are 40 minutes to puck drop. We're about to wrap things up. Sabres, Penguins. Tonight, we have a goat-head game, gentlemen. Penguins, real quick, they are second in the Metro with 68 points. The Sabres are first in the wild card with 70 points. Sabres can obviously jump to second place in the Atlantic with a win tonight. We'll have Alex Lyon in net for Buffalo. They're going to hold out the guys who have been hurt and injured this little bit just for this last game before the break. AJ, I'll go to you quick. Just something you're looking for the Sabres tonight, and maybe even a score prediction if you have one, if the Sabres can close out with a win.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. It's the last one for a while. I'm excited to, it's been a nice break for football the last week. And
they showed up at the right time, the Sabres. It was desperately needed.
Unfortunately, we got to, watch the Patriots this weekend, but that's okay. I'm curious tonight as to how this team kind of finishes this out. They were, battle tested on the road. They're back on home ice. I didn't know they were in the goat head, so that's great news. What a viewing experience that is. I love those jerseys. So that'll be at least a positive, regardless of the outcome, to see the goat head. But, yeah, I'm looking for a team to just finish going strong to the break, play collective as a unit, and, just build off what they've built on. And, don't let this game, regardless of the outcome, get into the Olympic break and follow through after the break. It's one game. Going no matter what, positive, negative, keep that mindset you've had because you've come a long way. So, score prediction, I'll go Sabres win because I'm feeling good.
Things are good now.
I'll go 4-2 Sabres against the Penguins tonight.
Donnie, where are you feeling tonight with the Sabres?
I'm going to start off with the score. I think we're going 5-2 Sabres.
Oh.
I think we get a double empty net. I think it's 3-2, and they pull their goalie early with 3 minutes. We get one. They hope to get another. Because it's the last game, and Penguins are going to put their balls on the table. They're hot right now. Let's be real. What are they? 7-2-1 in their last 10. Between them and the Bruins.
Yep, 7-1-2.
Yeah. One of the hottest teams. I mean, this is the thing with the Atlantic. Like everyone is getting hot and staying hot. It's an absolute blender of great teams. And but this is kind of like they got Malkin back. They got Crosby. They got great guys. I think, though, we're a bit younger, a bit faster. Goatheads always bring out an edge to us. And most importantly, I mean, the vibes tonight, Mike Ramsey in the building. The Miracle on Ice, 1980 guy and former Sabre himself. I mean, if you can't win with Mike Ramsey in the house, I mean, we got to figure it out. I don't want to say must win, but I am going to say must win. I'm going to say this is a must win game tonight because you jump 2 spots in the standings.
Yep.
You end on a hot note. You end on a confident note. And again, every game's important here on out. So this is I've said it over and over. There's certain games, TCB, taking care of business. Doesn't matter if it's ugly. Doesn't matter if it's pretty. Come out with a W. I'm predicting 5-2, but I'll take an OT win. I don't care. Just give it to me anyway.
A win's a win, especially with Pittsburgh and their kind of battle in the Metro. Overtime doesn't bother me too much there. I just want the Sabres to get a W. Alex Lyon in net. He's been a guy that's been beyond consistent for the Sabres, especially with just how turbulent the Sabres goalie room has been with guys coming in and out and healthy and not and playing well and playing not. He's been, it feels like a rock throughout the course of the season. This Sabres team is so fun to watch. I just want a game to see the Sabres team compete. If they get punched in the mouth early by, a great Penguins team where they've been struggling the past couple of years, they have a new life. They're second in the Metro. They're a team that has Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, kind of going for their last runs here together in Pittsburgh, but have a crop of young guys as well coming into the league, making a name for themselves. They got a new coach moving on, from Mike Sullivan this offseason. This Penguins team, it's fun to watch. So I want a fun game, at the KeyBank Center tonight. I want the Sabres team to go into the Olympic break on a good note, give us a good taste in our mouth when we go 19 days without Sabres hockey. And I just want the Sabres team to continue what they're doing. I want them to play well. If they go down early, I don't want to be worried. They're going to be able to fight back in the game. I want them to be able to get some goals. Donnie, you talked about 5. I would be beyond happy with the Sabres getting that marker again. That would be a big thing. I want the Sabres team to win. I want that. I like, let's say, I'll go 4-3 Sabres win tonight. I think it's going to be a great time. Thank you to everyone in the chat tonight. It's great seeing you all here. A lot of familiar names, Dwayne Turbo, Zach and Sheldon. Love hearing from him. A. Barber, Steve Noble, always great. And gentlemen, it's been a great time here at Sandbaggers in Hamburg. Big thank you to them for having us here. This is a great place. I mean, brand new. Vibes feel good here. Awesome. I couldn't be happier here. Don, you'll be boots on the ground tonight, so we're going to wrap things up here. And just thank you to everyone at home, the 1,500 who stopped in tonight as the Sabres look to close things out before the Olympic break with a big W, getting points at 3 of their last games if they get a win or go to overtime tonight. And yeah, big thank you to Sandbaggers. Big thank you to the Herd of Buffalo Network. Get on your phone right now, pull up Instagram, search Herd of Buffalo, follow. We got a ton of great shows there. Follow there. Big thank you to them. Big thank you to you guys, AJ, Don coming in, talking Sabres hockey. And folks, we have 30 minutes till the Sabres game. There's only one thing left to say. Let's go Sabres!